Korea, as well as Indonesia, and the participants were from 8 different countries with 110 articles has been presented. Then, the third AICoBPA was kept maintained and held online successfully, although we faced pandemic situation. I believe that the fourth AICoBPA 2021 will bring more current ideas to provide significant contributions and influences not only to the body of knowledge but also to the society. So, good luck for the fourth AICoBPA 2020.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Asti Amelia Novita, the chairperson of AICoBPA 2020. As a response toward COVID-19 issues, AICoBPA 2020 comes with the theme Governing Risk and Uncertainty as a Challenge for Public and Business Administrations in the New Normal. Under two subtopics, namely business transformations to adapt and increase competitiveness in the new normal, and strategic and inclusive policies for enhancing performance in the new normal, AICoBPA 2020 aims to invite all academicians and practitioners to spread information and positive recommendations to support the business and public administration in the new normal era. The third AICoBPA presented 3 keynote speakers and 7 guest speakers from 7 countries, including Indonesia, Philippines, South Korea, Malaysia, Australia, Taiwan, and Japan. The conference was attended by more than 500 participants and attracted 151 authors from 7 countries, including Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, Myanmar, China, Gambia, and Poland, and also forest regions across Indonesia. We hope that AICoBPA 2021 will provide new nuance and new insight for all of us through a series of events that the committee has prepared. Congratulations and success for AICoBPA 2021. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Rozikin as a Vice Dean of Student Affairs. I would like to welcome you all to the fourth AICoBPA 2021. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hamidah Nayati Utami as Vice Dean of General Affairs and Finance. I'm very happy to welcome you to fourth AICoBPA 2021. I hope we can gain knowledge and enjoy this event. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yusri Abila. I'm Vice Dean in Academic Affairs in the Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Brawijaya. I'm glad to welcome you to join for AICoBPA 2021. Enjoy the event and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Andi Verta Wijaya, Dean Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Brawijaya Malang, Indonesia. Welcome to the fourth AICoBPA 2021 with the theme Synergizing Public and Private Sectors to Accelerate Socio-Economic Recovery from the Pandemic. I hope you enjoy this event. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a good day, everyone. Excellencies, Professor Dr. Alaniam, Associate Professor Andi Feftawijaya, PhD, Dr. Bevaula Kusumasari, Associate Professor Muhammad Iqbal, DBA, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank to God Almighty, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who has given us some blessings so the agenda can run smoothly. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Maria Wiansa Karlarasati, and will be your Master of Ceremony today. On behalf of the organizers, Universitas Brawijaya and Faculty of Administrative Science, would like to extend my warm welcome to all the guests to the 4th Annual International Conference on Business and Public Administration, hosted for the second time by online. All blessed audiences, let's start this webinar with dua, led by Mr. Aulia Lukman Aziz, MPD. Please welcome Mr. Aulia.
A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma shalli ala sayidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayidina Muhammad walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Allahumma aftah lana hikmataka wa anshur alaina rahmataka min khazaini rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Ya Allah, ya Rabbana, we glorify and thank thee your name. You have showered us with so much blessings, and your presence continuously remind us of your faithfulness and guidance. Ya Allah, we pray that you bless all the committees of AICoBPA 2021, that they are able to fulfill their tasks responsibly, that the objectives they have set may all be achieved. Establish the work of our hands and bring to fulfillment all that you have given us to do in these days. We pray that you would make our way purposeful and our footsteps firm out of your goodness and love. Give us a heart of wisdom to hear your voice and make us strong by your huge favor and grace. Ya Allah, make us living witnesses of your genuine love through the enactment of the knowledge acquired through this international conference. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayidina Muhammad walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aulia. Next, may I invite Associate Professor Muhammad Iqbal, DBA, the chairperson of the 4th AICoBPA, to give a speech. Please welcome to the stage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The Honorable Vice Rector of Universitas Brawijaya, Professor Aulia Niam, the Dean of the Faculty of Administrative Science, Associate Professor Dr. Andi Feftawijaya, Deans, Deaneries, Professors, and colleagues of Universitas Brawijaya. The Indonesian Association for Public Administration, Professor Agus Pramusinto, the Association for Schools of Business Administration Indonesia, Professor Kusdira Harjo, our keynote speakers, plenary speakers, colleagues, and participants. First of all, let us praise to the mighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of His blessings, we can organize today's agenda. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to welcome you to the 4th Annual International Conference on Business and Public Administration. On behalf of the organizers, we'd like to express our most sincere gratitude for your presence in this virtual ceremony as the front door to the initiation of this event. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it has been our second year battling with the COVID-19 situation, which has brought every aspect of life to a temporary standstill. We have witnessed the devastation of such event that has harmed our society worldwide. Nonetheless, a new approach to this phenomenon of COVID-19 must be dealt with. And as we embrace and coexist with such virus within a new normal approach, it must be accounted for. As we speak, there are perhaps many countries worldwide whom are still striving to solve this issue. This issue of COVID-19, well, we all are. Therefore, perhaps on almost a similar theme as last year, this year's event will place the theme of synergizing public and private sectors to accelerate socioeconomic recovery from the pandemic. Similar to our previous conference, which has conducted virtually, this 4th AICoBPA 2021 has two important focuses. The first focuses would be on fostering socioeconomic recovery from the pandemic in perspective of agile governance. Our second focus will be on encouraging role of the private sector to accelerate socioeconomic recovery from the pandemic. We believe that agility, creativity, and adaptability are the bold keywords as government, businesses, and academics must be able to explore the possibilities of overcoming various unprecedented situations. In such a brief note, we'd like to inform you that our reach for this year's conference will involve 522 authors, co-authors, 66 manuscripts, and 9 different nationalities. We do hope that this collaboration and elaboration of diverse focus in the business and public administration domain will cover important response to key issues discussed and an avenue to positively contribute to our society-wide. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as the chairperson of the committee, I would like to express my gratitude to all of the committee members who's devoted all of their time, energy, and thoughts, contributing to the success of this conference. Also, we'd like to institutionally thank our collaborators, PDPTN, the Indonesian Association of Lecturers in Higher Education, Fordekis, Indonesian Deans Forum for Social Sciences, ECP, the Indonesian Library and Information Science Scholars, APMAPI, the Association of Indonesian Educational Management Programs, and indeed, we are still interacting virtually, but we do hope conditions will progress so that we are able to interact directly in the moments to come. Therefore, a strong appreciation for all of us who've made the effort to engage through this academic celebration. Again, we welcome you on board on the 4th Annual International Conference of Business and Public Administration 2021. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Muhammad Iqbal. Next, I would invite Dr. Befaula Kusumasari, the Secretary General of Indonesian Association for Public Administration, to give a speech. Please welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rector of Universitas Brawijaya, Professor Dr. Novil Hanani, Dean of Faculty of Administrative Science, Associate Professor Dr. Andi Fefta, Deputy Speaker, the People's Consultative Assembly of Republic of Indonesia, Professor Dr. Fadel Muhammad, Speaker from School of Government University Utara Malaysia, Professor Dr. Ahmad Martada Muhammad, Dean of College of Banking and Financial Studies Sultan Qubqos University Oman, Dr. Zahran Al-Salti, Head of Public Administration Department, Faculty of Administrative Science, Dr. Fabila Amin, Chairperson of AICoBPA, Associate Professor Muhammad Iqbal DDA, Representative of Association, international speakers, all participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. It is my privilege and great pleasure on behalf of the Indonesian Association for Public Administration to welcome you to the 2021 Annual International Conference on Business and Administration. Today, we gather here to share and discuss an important issues on synergizing public and private sectors to accelerate socio-economic recovery from pandemic. As we observe, COVID-19 pandemic is an extraordinary and unprecedented crisis in our life. The social and economic impacts could possibly worse than the financial crisis that the world faced in 2008. The pandemic requires solidarity and coordinated response from not only government, but also the private sector, who might have the capacity, expertise, and resources to control and mitigate the impact of the public health crisis on society. This pandemic sheds a light on a new meaning and purpose of collaboration. The pandemic has also exposed the benefit of a stronger, flexible, and more responsive government and private sector, which can incorporate risk management and has access to contingencies in emergency. Having a good social and economic policy on an emergency basis is critical to blunt the impact of COVID-19. I also welcome the many representatives of universities, associations, and government who have joined us. I'm sure we will have fruitful and rewarding exchanges in this conference. I wish you every success with this important conference, and I look forward to learning about the outcome. I would like to also extend my gratitude to Faculty of Administrative Science as a host of this prestigious conference. Thank you very much and enjoy the conference. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wassalam.
much, Dr. Befaula Kusumasari. Next, I would invite Associate Professor Andi Feftawijaya, PhD, the Dean of the Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Brawijaya, to give a speech. Please welcome to the stage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. The Honorable Vice Rector of Academic Affairs of Universitas Brawijaya, Professor Dr. Aulia Niam, Chairperson of the 4th Annual International Conference on Public and Business Administration, Associate Professor Muhammad Iqbal, SOS MIB, DBA. Secretary General of IAPA, Dr. Bafeola Kusumasari, MSI, and all deans of Fordekis, Dean Forum of Social Science in Indonesian Public Universities. I am also act as the chairperson of this organization. All of Vice Dean of Administrative Science faculty, all of the Civitas Academica and Administrative Science faculty, Universitas Brawijaya, all of the keynote speakers and plenary speakers, all of the presenters and participants, all of the committees in the 4th AICoBPA 2021. We are pleased to welcome you to the 4th Annual International Conference on Business and Public Administration 2021. Congratulations to all presenters whose papers have been selected in this conference. Like the previous AICoBPA conference, this year's conference has also attracted numerous participants from all over the world. This year is special as it is our 4th conference, which is completely conducted on a digital platform in according with the social distancing norms due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is our honor to welcome all keynote and plenary speakers who have come here to share their valuable knowledge and extensive experience. Professor Dr. Insinyur Fadel Muhammad as the keynote speakers from Deputy Speaker, the People's Consultative Assembly of Republic of Indonesia, MPR RI, and Professor in Public Entrepreneurship, Universitas Brawijaya, Indonesia. And then Professor Dr. Ahmad Martada Mohamed as the first speaker at the day 1 from School of Government, University Utara Malaysia. Dr. Fabila Amin, MAP PhD as the third speaker at the day 1 from Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Brawijaya. Dr. Zahran Al-Asalti as the fourth speaker at the day 1 from Banking and Financial Studies, Sultan Qubqos University, Oman. Dr. Dion Ross as the fifth speaker at the day 1 from University of Sunderland, United Kingdom. Since 2018, the annual International Conference on Business and Public Administration has been conducted. The conference had invited scientists, practitioners to contribute their ideas, findings, and recommendations to solve problems in the area of business and public administration. Here is the timeline of the AICoBPA. The first AICoBPA theme in 2018 was the challenge and prospect of business and public administration in the Industry 4.0. The theme of the second AICoBPA in 2019 was advancing business and public administration in the age of innovation, priorities, risks, and opportunities. The third conference theme in 2020 was governing risks and uncertainty for public and business administration in the new normal. And this fourth AICoBPA, we are proudly to produce the conference theme as the synergizing public and private sectors to accelerate socio-economic recovery from the pandemic. In this day one, the panel discussion topic is about fostering socio-economic recovery from the pandemic in the perspective of agile governance. We hope that this conference can be a showcase of the current development of public administration and provide further insight the following areas. First, in today's disruption era, the capability to adapt to the ever-changing of public administration environment becomes very critical. It needs to have agile governance to foster socio-economic recovery from pandemic in the perspective of agile governance. Agile governance is concerned about the fastest way in achieving the most valuable mission and vision. And agile focuses on governance and how to manage program and project risks effectively related to the governance risks. Agile governance follows the principle work completeness, performance achievement, collaboration, and helix teams work as a pentahelix or multi-helix governance. Second, solution to problem related to the COVID-19 pandemic in the area of public administration are explored, challenge identified, and solutions to research data management challenge are proposed. The pandemic has affected the way information governance operate, and therefore they need to find innovative solutions to address these problems, such the use of digital humanities to support working from home and online transaction activities. Various information policy and strategies information in social context approach have been undertaken to minimize the negative impacts of the pandemic, and analysis of the effectiveness of information behavior need to be conducted. New policies or approach can be proposed for literacy and society when the existing methods are not successful in addressing the pandemic problems. Third, best practices related to governance arrangement in handling pandemic is necessary. More research to better understand the strengths and weaknesses of various best practice in handling the pandemic is required, and especially the suitability of different best practices in the particular situational context. To close my speech, I thanks to the committees who have organized the event and all parties who have contributed to this event. We are sure that you will have fruitful and rewarding exchange in this conference, and we wish you every success with this prestigious conference. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Andi Feftawijaya. Now, please welcome to the stage your Honorable Vice Rector of Academic Affairs of the Universitas Brawijaya, Professor Dr. Aloniam, to give the last speech and officially open the fourth AICoBPA. Please welcome to the stage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Universitas Brawijaya and Organizing Committee, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all delegates, to all keynote speakers, to all plenary speakers of the fourth annual International Conference on Public and Business Administration, which is held by Administrative Science Faculty, Universitas Brawijaya. Especially, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to all keynote and plenary speakers, the Honorable Professor Dr. Insinyur Fadel Muhammad from the People Consultative Assembly of Republik Indonesia, Dr. Sandiago S. Uno, MBA from Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy Republik Indonesia, Professor Dr. Ahmad Martada Muhammad from School of Government Universitas Utara Malaysia, Dr. Fabila Amin, MAP, PhD from Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Brawijaya, and Dr. Zahran Al-Sati from Banking and Financial Studies, Sultan Qaboos University, Oman. Dr. Ethel Agnes Paswa Valenzuela from Southeast Asian Ministry of Education, Associate Professor Kalu Osiri, PhD from Nebraska Lincoln, USA, Dr. John McLaren from Tasmanian School of Business and Economics, University Tasmania, Muhammad Iqbal, SOS, MEP, DPA from Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Brawijaya. I would like also to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to this conference committee, the Dean of Administrative Science Faculty, Associate Professor Dr. Andi Fefta Wijaya, PhD, and all of the Dean, Vice Dean, Faculty of Administrative Science. Chairperson of this international conference, Associate Professor Muhammad Iqbal, SOS, MEP, DPA, Secretary General, Indonesian Association for Public Administration, Dr. Bifaula Kusumasari, MSI. Chairperson of Asosiasi Ilmu Administrasi Bisnis Indonesia, Profesor Dr. Usti Raharjo, out of Civitas Academica and Administrasi Science Faculty, Universitas Brawijaya, and all presenters and participants. Thanks for the attractive participants for joining the fourth annual Conference on Public Business Administration, which is held by Administrative Science Faculty. It's just a great event for sharing and caring about the current issue that everyone is facing right now. The university fully support the event, therefore it takes a role for providing advice on better work. Ladies and gentlemen, the international conference has linked with Universitas Brawijaya vision, becoming an outstanding world-class university in able to take active part in national development through education, research, and community services. On the way of life, the vision is to develop science, technology, and arts in order to support cultural development through international conference. Universitas Brawijaya has responsibility to capture the issue and create a solution for the society, a national and global. As a citizen global, the university has been strengthened to make cooperation with domestic and foreign universities. Universitas Brawijaya have been many cooperation conducted that is related to the Dharma of higher education in other fields as well. The cooperation are spread from Asia, Europe, Africa, America, and Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, due to this pandemic, Universitas Brawijaya adapt in every aspect, both in academic and non-academic activities. As part of our adaptation in academic activity, we have arranged offline, online lecture, blended learning and discussion in the beginning of COVID-19 era pandemic. This international conference also provides a platform where national and international academia or researchers, policymakers, and stakeholders to translate and administrative science, exchange ideas, and have stimulate international collaboration. Today, this conference, of course, we came from various places to enrich our sight and knowledge. In addition, collaboration with Universitas Brawijaya and other universities from Indonesia and overseas to be continued. Today, we are in second year in the pandemic COVID era. It has been give a lesson to be productive, to be creative by virtually. So this movement officially declare the fourth annual International Conference of Business and Public Administration 2021 on title is Synergizing Public and Private Sector to Accelerate Socio-Economic Recovery from this pandemic. They saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This conference officially open. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Alaniam and all excellencies. Today, we have about 500 participants, academic experts and professionals joining this conference to discuss on synergizing public and private sectors to accelerate socio-economic recovery from the pandemic. We hope to be able to conclude certain agendas in this conference for better future. Now, is our main agenda for this morning. May I invite Dr. Wike to come to the stage as our moderator for the first day webinar session. Before we proceed, allow me to introduce her in a brief detail. Dr. Wike currently is appointed as the Secretary of the Department of Public Administration. She was graduated from University of Canberra, Australia in Social Policy, and her research interest consists of public and social policy. Now, I will proceed to Dr. Wike. And screen is yours. Dr. Wike, we'd like to welcome on stage Vice Rector Professor Alaniam, Associate Professor Andi Feftawijaya, PhD, as the Dean of the Administrative Science, and Associate Professor Muhammad Iqbal as the Chairperson of this conference for the Gong ceremony. Commencing this conference.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This conference officially open. Selamat.
Thank you for all the ceremony, and I will proceed to Dr. Wike. Time and screen is yours.
Udah masuk.
Universitas Brawijaya adalah kampus tujuan paling favorit di Indonesia. Para mahasiswa datang dari berbagai daerah di Indonesia serta dari luar negeri. Universitas Brawijaya semula merupakan yayasan perguruan tinggi bernama Yayasan Perguruan Tinggi Malang pada tahun 1958.
Jadi yang ngoperate ini dari mereka Pak, supaya takut
pusat
linknya putus.
terkenal dengan
YouTube saya nggak baca, saya udah bilang Malaysia nggak baca. Saya kan dikasih waktu sekitar 15 menit. Iya. Ini aja ikut slide tadi malam saya lihat sudah 50 menit, 1 jam. Overlompat. Di Indonesia.
Dan kondusif untuk
belajar
dan mengajar.
Ini
bakat dan minat. Universitas Brawijaya membuka akses belajar yang seluas-luasnya.
Gimana? Ini ada sini.
Saat ini, mendapatkan beasiswa dari berbagai instansi, baik pemerintah maupun swasta. Universitas Brawijaya memiliki 14 fakultas, sarjana, dan program vokasi. Dengan didukung lebih dari 140 guru besar dan 400 dosen peneliti yang berpengalaman mengajar dan meneliti di berbagai bidang ilmu pengetahuan, teknologi, sosial, budaya, dan humaniora, Universitas Brawijaya siap mengembangkan proses pendidikan bermutu dan berstandar internasional untuk menghasilkan
Dia bilang nanti ingatin Fikri daftar tahun depan.
potensi. Universitas Brawijaya menyediakan berbagai laboratorium dengan peralatan berteknologi canggih dan modern, termasuk laboratorium lapangan, sehingga budaya penelitian yang kuat terus berkembang ditandai dengan penemuan inovatif yang bermanfaat bagi masyarakat luas. Karya ilmiah yang bermutu dan inovasi diciptakan sivitas akademika sebagai wahana pendidikan, penelitian, dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat. Sebagai perwujudan komitmen sebagai World-Class Entrepreneurial University, berbagai sarana dan prasarana serta beragam wahana bagi berbagai aktivitas mahasiswa disediakan untuk menjamin terciptanya peserta didik yang unggul dan berprestasi. Banyak lulusan Universitas Brawijaya yang saat ini menempati posisi penting dan berkontribusi nyata di Indonesia maupun di tingkat internasional.
Dari pengajaran itu jam saya kuliah banyak praktisinya, jadi saya ngerasa benar-benar kepake banget, bukan cuma belajar teori tapi prakteknya kita dapat. Dari pengalaman kuliah yang paling berkesan ya karena saya anak organisasi, jadi ya di kepanitiaan, terus saya di sana belajar tentang kepemimpinan.
Dulu yang depan saya itu Fakultas Peternakan, sekarang udah berapa lantai ya, malah ada liftnya, dulu nggak ada.
Dengan semangat di Universitas Brawijaya akan menunjukkan kepada dunia pendidikan yang berintegritas dan humanis serta berada pada barisan terdepan dalam pengembangan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi. Dengan bangga hati dan penuh percaya diri, lulusan Universitas Brawijaya siap menyongsong masa depan building a global future.
Miss Sarah as Master of Ceremony for handing of your duty. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning ladies and gentlemen and all audience and guests of the 4th Annual International Conference on Business and Public Administration 2021 and the theme conference by Synergizing Public and Private Sector to Accelerate Socio-Economic Recovery from Pandemic. I hope I find you well and healthy. I also greet and recognize the Vice Rector, Deans, and Dean or Vice Dean, Faculty of Administrative Science, and all professors, all lecturers, and all students of Faculty of Administrative Science, Brawijaya University, and all presenters of the conference. My name is Vika, and I'm serving as your moderator in around 2 hours. For the first day of this conference, we have a keynote speaker and 3 speakers in parallel session. All speakers will deliver the presentation respectively. This session will divide into 2 forms of presentation. The first is by keynote speaker and later in parallel session by 3 speakers. Now, I invite the keynote speaker of the first day of the conference, Professor Dr. Insinyur Fadil Muhammad, and I will be informing to all audience about his bio briefly. Professor Fadil, as we know him well, is Professor in Public Sector Entrepreneurship from the Faculty of Administrative Science, University of Brawijaya. He graduated from ITB, Bandung Institute of Technology, and later at Stanford University in US. In 2007, he graduated PhD in Public Administration from University of Gajah Mada. Professor Fadil has a long history of public service, a member of the People's Consultative Assembly, MPR, since 1992. And he was served as the Vice President of Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ADIN. From 2001 to 2009, he served as the governor of the province of Gorontalo, ever spoken in the United Nations Global Forum on Reinventing Government. In 2009 until 2011, he was appointed to serve as cabinet minister to the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Republic Indonesia. He received the Presidential Award from the Republic of Indonesia in 1989 for his dedication to development of small-scale industry. And he received also the Presidential Award in 1990 for his contribution to development of industrial sector. In 1994, the Republic of Singapore awarded the Lee Kuan Yew Fellowship Award to him for contribution to development as well as building the relationship and goodwill between both countries, Singapore and Indonesia. His theme presentation now is synergizing health and business governance policy to accelerate social economic recovery for pandemic COVID-19. So please welcome Professor Dr. Insinyur Fadal Muhammad. Could you please, Professor Fadal, make on your video and sound, please?
Ya, ini Irfan Kacau.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for those people in the other area. Vice Rector of Academic Affairs, University of Brawijaya, Professor Dr. Aulani, Chairperson of the 4th International Conference on Public and Administration, Professor Muhammad Iqbal, Chairperson of AICoBPA, Indonesia Association for Public Administration, all of 4 decades. I'm also represent all the Vice Dean of Administrative, all Civitas Academica, Science Faculty of University of Brawijaya, all the keynote speaker, the plenary speaker, all the presenter, participant, that I saw so many participants, and also all the attendance on the 4th AICoBPA 2021. I believe that today we are on the good health, can attend this conference, and I'm happy to be here. Let me give a short notice on a few things that happened in Indonesia during this pandemic, COVID-19. I think that we all understand through the paradigm of public administration, which is all public administration since way back on 1890, and on the beginning of 1980, been introduced the new public management, and then new public governance, or we call it governance. I think that we also understand very well public governance consists of 5 distinct, which is social political governance, public political governance, administrative governance, contract governance, network governance. And all of these be based on the 3 strategy: deliberate strategy, inadvertent strategy, and strategy gap. So basically, this is the foundation that how we understand and explain the current situation. And what's very interesting, if we see what happened in Indonesia during this COVID-19, look at what happened in the 2020, the beginning of 2020, let's say January, up to the beginning of 2021, was we can see the positive indication is quite high. You can see over 4 million. And then the most interesting part during the 2020 to 2021, the death is not so high. Still flat, is around, at the end of 2021, only 139,000 people died affected by COVID-19. And we can see also the curve has been showing going down. With that, the most happy and good news for Indonesia, we all understand that 2018, the years 2018, our economic growth almost 6%. But the 2020, the second quarter of 2020, it goes down to -5. And because of that, so many things happen in the economics. We all in the parliament get nervous. We have a meeting with the president several times to discuss this subject, and we have a special team to elaborate and to discuss and making some prevention. And then only at the second quarter 2021 is going up quite good. During that time also, the poverty going down, we increase the poverty, and the people effect on this one become more and more. And the unemployment going up very high, almost up to 8%. This is very high. And a lot of people get nervous, and the government have some intervention to do the social welfare on having this one. At the same time also, the police report the criminality goes up very high. And every week during the time we have a lot of criminality. And the president have meeting with the police and all the elements regularly to prevent this one. Basically, the criminality, if we see, because effect of the unemployment and affect the poverty, and people look for the food and survive. During that time also, I also indicate that by July 2020, the tax income going down, and then we only achieve 30% of the target that we supposed to have it. So the government get nervous, and then we have to borrow more money, and the parliament regulation that cannot be deficit about below 3%, and during 2020 already minus 6.3, and this one is affected a lot of things. And then the Minister of Finance have to go with the parliament to get the exception on this deficit, because in the regulation that we cannot be deficit below 3%. So ladies and gentlemen, the debt also became increased because we have to borrow money to run the country. We have to borrow more money from overseas, from everywhere. And then we concentrate, the government try to concentrate, put it the money more on the health. At that time also we can see there is a big things happen where we call it the community behavior is changed, and a lot of change, a lot of interesting things coming up. But whatever it is, we have to survive. We have to do it. So a lot of innovation, a lot of things that has been done. And then the IT, the technology, the internet working very well. So people working from home, excuse me, not more from the office. And then the good policies try to do it. At the same time also, state budget, I bring up detailed data on the state budget where we put it on the health, social protection, where is two things very important. And then during that time also, slow policy of the implementation. I call it, can see we have National Economic Recovery Team that head by the Minister of Economic coordinating with the state minister, both of them, and they have a team to do this. We call it Pemulihan Ekonomi Nasional since 1 October 2020. But the economics only can be execute, can be working only 45%, not even reach 50%. So all very, very slow, very, very slow. And this one, government concentrate head by Erlangga Hartarto to do the economic recovery. Economic recovery have been putting a lot of effort, and President put a lot of attention. Even we, as a member of MPR, regular meeting with the President, he called us to Bogor Palace to explain what happened and how government are trying to solve this one. I like to mention on this event, whatever it is, the government have done a good job, try to do the good governance, try to make effective collaboration, try to make the transparency and performance oriented, good governance, performance, and collaborative governance have been done solidly. And then at the end, I also like to mention that the most important, that collaborative and inclusive policies process through pentahelix, multi-helix model that we have been studying, we understand very well, have been implemented, which is through government, community, private sector, academic, media, and all of this coordinating on a pentahelix coordinating. So this one bringing a very good result for the development during the COVID. I also like to mention that we have seen very, very unique how the government, how the President Jokowi solved this case. And I, at that time, and up to now, really support. We have regular meeting, we discuss, we support the president. And then one day, I remember very well, we asking president regarding what happened. He says he also tried to call all the head of the state of the country. They also confused at the beginning to see this pandemic. So not only Indonesia have panicked, but many countries have panicked. But lately, we now survive. We already came to the point that the situation become much better. Now the indication of the people getting COVID became less and less. And I also appreciate to the medical team, whereby they already found the method, find a way how to solve this one, and many idea coming up to increase the immune of the community of the people. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever it is, the pentahelix, multi-helix model have been implemented successfully. And I like to see that with this, our event today, hopefully can bring up some more idea, and any question or idea will be bring up to us. And I think we can accommodate towards the future. Thank you very much for your kind attention on this event. I believe that we could get together and making the things become better. And by beginning of next year, hopefully we can more enter the new normal, so we can be having more and more open of communication. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Sampai jumpa lagi. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. What?
We can learn.
Yeah,
Yes,
hello.
we can, yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
We hope then from your experience that we will be benefit for all of us and relevant with the conference. So please salute and applause virtually for Professor Dr. Insinyur Fadel Muhammad. Before Professor Fadel leave us,
Yes.
5 minutes, I think. So I
Yes.
open, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I open discuss with him. Everyone want to ask him directly, so please hit button raise and hands to
Ya
ask him
Allah,
directly.
kopi dingin gak enak.
Is there any audience want ask to Professor Padel? So please, Ibu Eka, please. Yes, please. Could you please open your mic, ma'am? Thank you. We can hear clear. Yeah, we didn't hear you clear. Oh, sorry, we have another person to ask directly to Professor Padel. Mr. Erlangga. Hello, Erlangga. Okay, so could you please open your camera and Sean, please? Mr. Herlamba, sorry. I'm sorry. Mr. Herlamba. Mr. Erlambang. Okay, so Erlambang. Open your sound, please, Erlambang.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes, thank you for the explanation from the Professor Dr. Fadil Muhammad. Thank you very much. For everyone, I want to say thank you for this opportunity for me to give any question, maybe like I actually from alumni Brawijaya University and master program public administration. So I very familiar for Dr. Fabila Amin and my dean at the public administration, Professor Dr. Andi Fefta Wijaya. In this good event, I just I want to give the question like how to improve and increase our economic in the UMKM, or Indonesian people said UMKM, to set in the high progress. Like we know that COVID-19 have the more obstacle in here, and then this is will I think this is not in the good question, and no, I think in this not good situation today, and maybe Professor Dr. Engineer Fadil Muhammad can give us explanation about the answer to improve and increase for the fast and more faster to I think how to economic can improve, just like that of the conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Would you like to respond his question?
Nggak bisa. Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Okay. So I think it's a very good question. The very important part of the recover economics is the UMKM, small scale. That is why we insist three things during that time. Number one, try to inject money, block fund, just to help the UMKM. And this fund we give through the National Bank, and their success to making the small scale industry survive through this block fund. Number two, all the small scale economics are in trouble. We give them more time. And then some of them, we try to cut all the interest rate. And then number three, none of the small scale been cut off, but all of it we support, all of it we inject some more fund. And then through many kementerian, all the ministers have some program like pariwisata also in their small scale industry give some fund. This kementerian industri, kementerian semuanya diberikan dana khusus agar supaya UMKM survive dengan dana tertentu. Itu yang dibuat untuk mempercepat proses recovery economics. Thank you, Mr. Langka.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is there any response from you, Mr. Erlambang?
Udah.
Okay, if I have the chance and opportunity to
yes, please.
get the feedback from the professor.
Yes.
How about the regulation from the government in Indonesia? Maybe we have the education from our I think for our people in Indonesia.
Yeah,
From the UMKM, maybe in this case,
yes.
No, the program from the pemerintah, from
Yes.
the government, yes.
Yes.
Maybe we have the announce of there, and maybe today, the government to
Yes.
announce that. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, I think that the government are trying to announce and to do that, and we will tell them to make it more publicity to the people. Thank you for your suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Cukup
so
lah.
much.
Yes,
Yeah.
enough.
Much for Mr. Elambang for giving a chance to ask him directly. And because the time with Professor Dr. Fadel Muhammad ran out, now thank you so much, Professor Fadel, for giving a lot of insight and knowledge, and we can learn from you, sir. So please give him applause virtually. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Terima kasih, Prof.
Makasih Pak Andi Fefta. Makasih.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to parallel session. We have 3 speakers, and they will deliver presentation respectively. But before I start to invite first speaker, I would like to inform all audience of this conference about the session rule. After all speakers are present, we open discussion in Q&A session. If you want to ask the speakers directly, please hit the raise hand button on the screen, or you can write down your question on the chat virtually. So let's make a start. The first speaker is Professor Dr. Ahmad Martada Mohammed from School of Government and College of Law, Government and International Studies, University Utara Malaysia. He is Professor of Government and Head of Governance and Integrity Cluster, as well as Council of UUM Professor. He graduated in Political Science from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, Illinois, USA in 1991. Later attended Indiana State University, USA in 1996 for his master's degree. He finished his PhD in Political Science or Public Administration in 2004 from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, Illinois, US. His theme presentation is Synergizing Public and Private Sectors, the Road to Economic Recovery in Malaysia. Please welcome Professor Ahmad Martada. Thank you. Ahmed, could you please open your video and your sound, please? Because we haven't heard your voice clear now. So could you please open the sound and the cam? Hello, Professor Ahmad Martada. Are you ready to give in your speech with your material? Hello? Okay. Due to the Professor Ahmed still having no appear in the screen, so we move to the Second speaker, Dr. Deon Rose. Dr. Deon Rose from Faculty of Education and Society, University of Sunderland, UK. She is Principal Lecturer for International Teacher Education in the Faculty of Education and Society, having led the PGGE Education, a world leading distance learning PGGE course for several years. And her role is to now lead on the IT development within the school. Okay, but before Dr. Diane Rose will giving speech, I invite first Professor Ahmad Marzada. Thank you. Hello, Professor Marzada.
Yes, it's me.
Thank you. Are you here? Me? I am here. Okay, then. So you have a time around 15 to 20 to deliver your presentation, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And a very good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation to be part of the conference. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, so the title of my presentation today is Synergizing Public and Private Sectors, the Road to Economic Recovery in Malaysia. So this is the map between Malaysia and Indonesia, for some of you who are not familiar. Let me talk about a little bit of pre-COVID-19 in Malaysia, because I'm sure a lot of countries in the world have been badly affected by the COVID. So Malaysia is also one of the countries that were badly affected. Let us look at what happened before the pre-COVID-19. Our GDP was 6% in 2017. In 2018, 5%, 2019, 4%. And our inflation was quite low at that time, 0.7%. Unemployment, even though it was an issue, it was not that high in 2019, 3.3%. Yet our percentage of skilled workers were quite low at that time. But most importantly, we still relied too much on foreign unskilled workers.
Excuse me, Professor, could you please open your full screen for your PPT slides?
For sharing, you mean?
Oh, no, put it the full screen, your PPT slide.
Okay.
The bottom, right bottom, there are the symbol of what is it? The cups, the cup. No, right. Okay. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Well done.
Okay, so this was during COVID crisis, and in fact, we are still experiencing this. Our GDP last year was only 1.6%, and unemployment shoot up to 3.5%. Yet it was a little bit lower this year, 3.4%. Inflation was also high, 1.7% for this year. And let's look at the socio-economic impacts. In Malaysia, tourism and hospitality industry were two industries that were badly affected by COVID-19, especially air traveling, tourism, hotel. A lot more hotels were being closed down. In fact, in my state, there were also so many hotels that were being forced to close, and also in Kuala Lumpur as well. And foreign trade was low, stock market went down, consumer spending was also going down very high, and a lot of temporary and permanent layoff of employees because companies were not able to continue their businesses. So it forced them to lay off, whether temporary or permanent. And our domestic demand was also reduced. And one of the way in which our country was badly affected because of our heavy reliance on oil revenues. You know, Petronas contributed to 40% of our national revenue. So when the price of oil went down, it also affected the ability of our country to manage our resources. And the other aspect which was very significant was unsustainable food security. And let's look at the grim reality that we are facing. You know, by 5th of November, there were 29,256 recorded deaths due to COVID-19, and total cases have reached 2.5 million, which was quite significant. And if we were to calculate the value of GDP loss, it was nearly 102 billion Malaysian ringgit. And jobs lost in agriculture sector 21.9, and services also contributed significantly in terms of job loss, 15%. And 4 million people lost their job. It was quite high. And I already mentioned less revenue, stock market went down. Absolute poverty also increased to 8.4%. This was quite significant because a lot more people, when they cannot go to work and they don't get money regularly like before, so they have to, they have to continue to support their family, they have to continue to buy, and yet at the same time they have to pay their loans. So it affected their ability to continue to survive, and therefore a lot more people, in terms of absolute poverty, has increased the number to 8.4%. And one of the development during this was the white flag movement. If some of you are familiar, this was the case when people who do not get access to food, who do not have money to buy food, they have to raise the white flag. This is an indication that they really need food to continue to survive. So whenever NGOs, government agencies and individuals, they go around and they see that white flag were being raised, they know that people who raise the flag really need food. So they will continue to distribute the food. So this is, again, something which was very unfortunate during the pandemic. And also, even though the numbers were not that high, but we have also seen an increase in the number of people who committed suicides. And also the number of social issues raised significantly. And if we were to talk about online learning, especially in schools and universities, because online learning was the way that we have to do the new norm in a lot of countries. But unfortunately, a lot more people were not able to access the technology due to poor family background, and due to some of the areas were not equipped with enough infrastructure to provide internet connection. So these are the things that Malaysia experienced during the pandemic. And also, not only individual workers, small traders also cannot do businesses, farmers, rubber tapers, they are badly affected. So in fact, inflation is still a concern now. Unemployment is still quite high. People are complaining about that. A lot more university graduates, they are not able to get jobs, because there were not many job opportunities out there. And fiscal deficit due to revenues are down, price of oil is down. And many people who have borrowed and they have to pay the loan, but they have asked the banks to reschedule their loan. So government also helping individuals and force the bank to extend moratorium for borrowers. So if we were to talk about this negative development due to COVID, Malaysia is also badly affected. Despite our strong economic fundamentals, but we also been badly affected by that. Our economic activities are slowing down because we enforce total lockdown. So businesses cannot do their activities. So it caused a lot of losses to business sector. Unemployment went up, exports and commodity prices also are down. So taking into account all of this development, the government has to introduce policy measures to strengthen our economy and to increase income growth. And last session, government, in terms of policy intervention, government has introduced economic stimulus package, which total to 250 billion Malaysian ringgit. And there were three strategies. One of them is to mitigate the impact of COVID-19, providing monetary subsidies to people and to small, medium enterprises. This was aimed at helping and protecting the citizen. And strategy number two is catalyzing economic growth, where government has to increase government project. A lot more project will have to be continued in order to spur and revitalize the domestic investment. And this is part of the effort to strengthen the economy. And this is also done by helping and working together with the private sector. And strategy number three is to promote quality investment. A lot more public investment by domestic investors. Government has provided incentive for a lot of private investors to invest in the country, and by also at the same time, government are also supporting a lot of businesses to make sure that they can continue to do their businesses. So Malaysia has just recently launched its 12th Malaysia Plan. This is a long-term plan starting with this year, 2021 to 2025. This is part of the road to recovery. It is based on three pillars: to make the country prosperous, to make sure that everybody is included in the long-term development of the country, and to ensure that environment is sustainable, business is sustainable, and growth is sustainable. So these are the three pillars of Malaysia 12 Malaysia Plan. And let's look at the 9 focuses based on the 12th Malaysian Plan. I just go briefly. Establishing a united nation with a shared identity, establish a developed society, fostering mature and democratic society, establishing a moral and ethical society, progressive society, full caring society, ensuring economically just society, establishing a prosperous society. This is important. With an economy that is robust, resilient, competitive, and dynamic. So basically, this is the focus of the government, to ensure that nobody will be left behind, and yet at the same time, government continues, or country continues to experience economic growth. So let's look at the dynamics of our economy currently. Government has introduced a lot of short-term stabilization measures, and also introduced macroeconomy and financial policies. This is also related to global economic development and prospect, downside risk, and long-term issues and policy direction. And let's look at the challenges, strength and challenges for our country. In terms of strength, we have ample liquidity. Our high saving rate is also a bonus for us. And in terms of loan, a lot of banks still apply a low interest rate. Banking sector is quite strong fundamentally. Our current account balance is also in the positive. Foreign reserve is quite high. and low foreign debt. However, there are also a lot of challenges that the government is facing currently. Commodity prices are not very high at the moment. Stock market is not very stable. Volatility is quite high. Domestic prices continue to experience unexpected increase. A lot more people are complaining, and this causes inflation, especially when there are many people who do not have jobs currently, and confidence level is also quite low among people, when a lot more of them, are not able to go to work. Fiscal deficit and fluctuating ringgit. So what are the stabilization measures that were being continued and introduced by the government? So government has undertaken measures to strengthen economic resilience, to cushion the impact from global economic slowdown. Stimulus package has been introduced over and over again since last year up until now. This is important to sustain growth, ensuring resilient financial sector, and then promote. Now government is also promoting domestic investment because foreign investment is quite difficult at the moment.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yes.
Excuse me, Professor. You have 5 minutes to go.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then reprioritizing 12 Malaysian Plan and enhancing social safety net program. These are some of the programs that are being introduced. Public amenities, rural roads, police station, camp upgrading and maintenance, build additional low, medium costs, revive abandoned housing, monetizing government assets, small maintenance. These are all parts of the effort to revitalize the economy, to make sure that the domestic economy is growing, to make sure that contractors have jobs, to make sure that money continues to flow to businesses, so that when businesses have projects, money will be coming in, they can hire people, and if people have money, people have job, they can continue to increase domestic spending. So investment fund to attract private investment, liberalize imports, and work permits to knowledge workers, accelerating implementation, providing additional allocation to help stimulate private investment, and to support businesses to overcome slowdown, reduce retrenchment, retraining, ready-to-roll package. And let's look at some of the structural issues in terms of competitiveness, low income, private sector versus government sector, heavy reliance on foreign labor. This is also something that we had to face before the pandemic, but government has introduced a lot of measures to reduce the reliance on foreign labor, to make sure that more opportunities are given to the local people. So a lot more economic reform, private sector investment, promoting new sources of growth and income, halal hub, education hub, long-term fiscal stability, adequate skilled workers. And these are some of the efforts taken by the government to improve our economy. So I'll speed up. So the financial crisis is far from over. The road to recovery and stabilization of the economy is going to be a long and protected one. So, this is the process of recovery. I'm sure it will take us some time before we continue to become stable. Probably it will take a few years before country is going back to normal. So government need to undertake measures to cushion the impact. That current crisis and impact of economy is a wake-up call to all of us, not only to Malaysia, but I'm sure it is also the same thing to Indonesia. In fact, a lot of developed countries have also experienced setback to the growth and development of the country. So significant changes need to do in order to step up economic growth and create a high-income society in order for us, because we have set up before that our aim was to achieve a developed nation by the year 2020. but because of the domestic issues and because of the slowdown in world economy, so we have to extend the target. So hopefully by 2030, Malaysia aims to become a developed nation status. So before I conclude, so let me present to you some of the challenges that all of us, especially in ASEAN countries, that we have to face. You know, I'm sure in Indonesia it's the same because we rely too much on our commodity. So now the prices of commodities are down, consumer behavior changes, financial market is down, unemployment is up, inflation is up, the issue of food security is on top of the agenda, and not only in Malaysia, I'm sure it's also in Indonesia and in a lot of countries, especially when we rely too much on importing food product from other countries. And investor sentiment is also negative. You know, you can see in Malaysia, you can see in a lot of ASEAN countries where investors are not really inclined to come and invest in countries where the situation is not very stable, especially due to this pandemic. So hopefully in 2030, ASEAN will be the 4th largest single market. So there is a potential for ASEAN countries. But hopefully, in a few years' time, every country can get back to normal, and we can take the opportunity to work together with all ASEAN countries, because after all, ASEAN has a very big potential to become one of the major trading partners in the world. So we have to push for integration agenda. You know, digital economy will be the way forward. 300 billion by the year 2025. So everybody has to take this opportunity to get together and engage in digital economy. Investment infrastructure gap. This is where a lot of countries in ASEAN, they have to face in terms of healthcare, telecommunication, logistic, green infrastructure is also the way forward that countries have to try to take this opportunity to embrace the green technology. And private sector needs to complement public sector financing shortfalls, because when revenues are down, government is not able to go on and do a lot of projects, a lot of development. So it requires cooperation from the private sector to spearhead the economic development in the country. So my final thought is, what are the policy recommendations? Yes, reforms are needed to address all those issues, especially in time of crisis. Yet government has taken steps to improve not only our administration, our economy, providing social safety net, because a lot more people are being badly affected by this pandemic. So government needs to provide monetary incentive. Government needs to ensure that the economy is growing again, is moving, and providing more job opportunities. And yet at the same time, trying to make sure that good governance remains on top of the agenda. Corruption needs to be tackled. Political system need to be strengthened. Accountability needs to be strengthened. Despite all the setbacks that government is facing due to the pandemic, yet the future is positive, and the signs are also encouraging. So hopefully, in a few years' time, Malaysia can get back to normal. Thank you very much.
She is Principal Lecturer for International Teacher Education in the Faculty of Education and Society. Having led the PGCE Education Award leading distance learning PGCE course for several years. And she role is to now lead on ITE development within the school. So please welcome Dr. Dan Rose. Thank you. Hello, Dr. Rose. Hello. I didn't hear your voice, Mom. Making on your sound and camera. Thank you. Hello. Oh, I'm just wondering if you have any headset, make it on yours. Would you like? Or earphone? Whatever you have. Thank you. Hello. Hello. I'm so sorry. We have a little bit disrupt about the microphone use. Okay, Dr. Ross, would you like to check your setting in your screen? Audio setting. And the below button, right button. And select input.
Hello, can you hear me?
Thank you so much. Are you hear me now?
No.
Oh, okay. But I hear your voice, Mom.
You hear me? Oh, that's good.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can get.
Yeah, so would you like open your video, your camera, please? So, so we can see you.
Okay. Is that
Okay,
working?
yeah. It's working now. Excellent. Excellent.
Sorry
Thank you.
about that.
It's okay. Now, as Dr. Dennis, it's your time now to present your material. Please. Thank you.
Okay.
You can deliver your presentation around 50 minutes to 20 minutes.
Okay, I'll be quick.
Yeah. Well done.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. As I was introduced, I work in teacher education in the UK. So I work at a British university delivering teacher education, but my role is based overseas. So I spend an awful lot of my time traveling and teaching teachers in around 65 to 70 different countries. So the short presentation this morning is looking at school closures and the impact on students, whether there are any positives we can take from this for education, and a little bit of a case study on how we do it at the University of Sunderland and the impact of this. So currently the UK is punching well above its weight, but below its potential. So by that I mean that over 400,000 students internationally studying UK programs. So for all we're a very small country, we attract a great number of international students. So why is this important in this current seminar? Is because that's an income for the UK government, where we generate income from international students, which obviously post-pandemic, the UK is desperately in need of. So I work with the Department for International Trade, whereby I advocate for British education, but this is about more than just education. This is about supporting the economy by encouraging international students to come into the UK. Okay, so the OECD completed a little survey that looked at how schools closed and opened, and schools were moving in and out of closure. This obviously had a huge effect on students. So as the world is so connected now, where you know, travel is easy, so the impact of things like the pandemic are also shared. So as we look back, we see that, you know, China was the first to close schools, shortly followed by other countries in March, whereby in the space of 6 weeks, most countries had closed all of their schools. What did this mean for the economy? It meant that some people were beginning to lose their jobs, therefore meaning that they couldn't support their children as well as they had previously. The economy wasn't earning as much tax, and we've had 2 years of this. Educational community, we've made a concerted effort to pick things up, to support things. However, it's a long journey, and I think the impact on education has been significant. What happens long term is that if children miss out on the learning that they were meant to have, if they miss out on the journey of development, then this could have an impact on the economy long term, as kids don't qualify from school with the qualifications to enable them to go into well-paid jobs, thus having an effect on tax and things like that. I'm trying to speed up. Okay, so one of the things that we all realized was that teachers weren't prepared to support digital learning. Teachers have the skills, the pedagogical skills to support their students, to teach them in the classroom. But what the pandemic has taught us all is that teachers weren't prepared for this. They weren't prepared to support digital learning. Teachers have reported that they have a really high need for training in information and communication technologies. They need professional development in the use of ICT. And as schools have reopened, we've realized that we can continue to support this. We can continue to support teachers in their development. But we also need to build an infrastructure, and that starts with teacher education. In order to support teachers, we need to start at the beginning. When they're training to be teachers, we need to give them those skills. A recent survey by OECD and Harvard University looked at the approaches and looked at learning is taking place has been so small for some students, and this is linked to the economy. Those students who come from low socioeconomic status have struggled more during the pandemic, whereas those from more affluent households, their parents have found a way to continue their education. Therefore, in years to come, they will be the ones who will be successful and haven't missed out on learning, whereas those in the lower socioeconomic groups will perhaps struggle more to find well-paid employment in the future. So what we need to think about is the effect on that remote learning. And if a teacher is good at delivering remote learning, then the students will learn. If the teacher's struggling to demonstrate those skills themselves, then the students are going to find it really difficult to learn. Because of the nature of the work I do, I've been really fortunate to have witnessed trainee teachers who are so innovative and so well prepared that they have been able to utilize their own skills. And it has also taught me as a lecturer that I need to continue to build, to continue to develop those skills in my trainees. We weren't doing enough. So now we have changed the nature of what we deliver to ensure that trainees are much more prepared and have the skills and competencies in order to teach. So what are the positive outcomes? So an awful lot is said about the negative impact of COVID on education and how students have missed out. But actually, there's an awful lot that we've learned as practitioners. Flexibility. So technology enables students to collaborate and practice at their own pace to develop their skills. So whereas every student in the classroom learning at the pace of the teacher, when they're working outside of the classroom on technology, recorded sessions, discussion forums, all online, are there outside of the normal class. And this is actually having a positive impact on some trainees, on some students in schools, because they're able to review, to go back to the work, to improve their skills beyond the classroom timetable time. One of the huge benefits that we've seen especially is the cultural diversity that technology allows for. So there are intercultural interactions between distinct and distant locations across borders. So for example, in my work, I can have a group of 30 trainees. Some are in Hong Kong, some are in China, some are in Mozambique. And we find a suitable time for us to all meet online once a week to learn, to share, to significantly enhance their cultural understanding of how education works in different parts of the world. So I think the benefits of this, not only in international schools, but also in teacher education, mean that we are developing much more culturally aware teachers, which allows for significant developments in the future, but it also allows for students within a classroom to benefit from that, that cultural awareness. Students can see that their teachers know more about other cultures, and with global migration, this is significantly having an impact on how teachers work. Okay, In addition, positive outcomes include student learning, technology-enabled collaboration, so individuals and groups. It's been proven by Rastrin, Leferia, that these things work much more collaboratively, and the developmental effects are really strong. Some of the research demonstrates that it isn't necessarily more than as if they were in a classroom, but we haven't dropped the learning that's gone on through doing this online. When I have a group tutorial on a Tuesday morning, students are learning and collaborating. So this is really good progress to know that we're not being detrimental to students' development. In addition to that, the thinking skills are there. So we're able to offer more complex and cognitively challenging discussions because we're asking students to think outside the box, to think more collaboratively, to think how would we do it in this country as opposed to doing it in another country. So we're questioning their behaviours, we're encouraging much more critical understanding within trainee teachers and university students. This critical understanding has a huge impact on the economy of the future, as we are producing graduates who have significantly higher critical thinking skills, which impacts on society and the employment that they go into. Oh, it's not working. Okay. In addition, there are a whole host of technology, apps, different software packages that can really support formative assessment in a way that perhaps being in a classroom and being rigidly stuck to a timetable hasn't allowed us to do in the past. So technology significantly facilitates the use of formative assessment. It's frequent, it's interactive, and it means that students are getting feedback constantly. That feedback is then fed back into the classroom, which enables progress, which enables learning to happen on a much more progressive manner. So if we're sitting in a classroom with voting software, clicking, or we're on computers and we're doing polls and assessment, it's instantaneous. We're getting interaction with students. As practitioners, we are gathering that feedback. We are able to change what we are delivering. We are able to support trainees with their development on an automatic, on a simultaneous manner. It's really proven to be really fortuitous. There's a student assessment, there are reports, there are questions, there are pictures, as well as teacher education. It's had a huge impact on how we deliver. So I want to show you a few little quick examples of how we use this formative assessment. So at our university, we use Office 365 and Teams, and we have a software package, which is an Amazon product called Canvas. And one of the things we do is we put a video from the internet, and then we create a quiz around that. We get the students all to complete the quiz at the same time, and immediately we can see what learning has happened there. It works really well to simultaneously, to automatically allow students to see the answers of others and to see, to promote discussion and development. And again, we ask students who are trainee teachers to upload videos of their own teaching. And when they upload the videos, with the use of technology, I'm able to stop the video, pose a question, and then when I have a one-to-one meeting with the students, I can say, what happened in minute 43? Let's have a look at this. Tell me what was happening here. Explain to me the formative assessment you used. Explain to me what was happening to the child in the background who wasn't engaged. So technology is providing so many benefits to trainees, to our students. One of the things that we've done as a team is rethought assessment and used the pandemic is a way to rethink how we assess for teacher training, how we encourage our trainee teachers to work with their own students on assessment. So we gathered feedback around our existing assessment model. We audited the best practices. We researched the best practice around the world. And we revisited this. So for trainee teachers who aren't next to us, who aren't in the UK, we now meet with them. We go through a live observation. We look at the feedback, and we have dialogic assessment in a way that perhaps pre-pandemic we would never have used. So as a team, we see this as a huge benefit that's come from the pandemic, that the community of learning and the community of practice that is developed around the use of dialogic assessment and discussion with students and feedback has been hugely beneficial. So a little case study of how online technology is really beneficial. So in my team, we started delivering distance learning, online delivery of teacher training back in 1999 with 3 students in Dubai. And in 2021, I now have 624 students on one program, but I have 3 programs and I have several intakes. And the benefit of this is that technology can improve, as we've said, cultural awareness, can improve numbers, can improve revenue for universities and economies within countries, because there are no limitations with online learning. The only limitation is what we impose on ourselves. I can reach so many more countries now than I ever did before technology enabled teacher training to happen. It's great to go out and visit people in different destinations. It's great to actually be in person in school. But if I can't get to one person in a remote place in China, then I can live stream into that classroom. And I think the pandemic has taught us that utilizing the full potential of all technology has a huge economic benefit to both the university and students, which in turn have an impact on students of the future and students in classrooms. But in order to do this, we have to have a huge support network in place. You know, I'm lucky enough to have staff that work all over the world for me. I have personal academic tutors, I have module leaders, program leaders, but I also have a huge support network within the university, not least of which is the EAP support and the librarian who dedicates herself fully to working with our distance learning and international students. So I think although it's a really good avenue to improve economies within a university, I think we can't forget that there's an awful lot of support required to make this successful as well. Okay, so according to Shattuck, one of the things that keeps students motivated is the level of support services. We must support our trainees across the world in order to demonstrate to them that supporting their own students is effective. Distance learning can be effective, but we need to ensure that that support is in place. It's crucial for their progress. And I think Ebola and Aluku all point to the fact that without that support being in place, then students struggle. Therefore, you know, an attrition rate of students who withdraw from university courses is impacted through student support. Therefore, I would encourage all universities who are engaging in distance learning to ensure that those support mechanisms are in place if you're going to be successful at distance learning. Without support, contact and confidence, distance learning trainees feel that their learning isn't valuable, that they're under supported, and therefore don't progress as well as they possibly could. Okay, just a little map to show the huge numbers that we have. Predominantly, as I mentioned earlier, the UK does well in education overseas, and it isn't in underdeveloped countries necessarily. Places like Hong Kong offer a huge number of trainees that come onto our programs. They have a really successful education system of their own, but there is something about doing an international program that an awful lot of students like. And, you know, we benefit from the fact that students want to do international programs. One of the ways that we use technologies to stay connected, and we remain connected all of the time. So we use weekly announcements whereby we send emails through the technology, through Canvas. We have communities of practice where students can speak to each other, discussion boards where they can speak to each other. We use a Twitter feed to share materials. We have PAP meetings and video tutorials. We started the video tutorials as a pilot with one group, and now we roll that out to all the groups within our teacher education network. These have proved really successful and it cuts down email traffic, but also it supports teachers in the UK getting to know their international students. We have drop-in meetings, drop-in sessions whereby an academic will sit online and students turn up if they want to ask any questions. I record webcasts, webinars on a regular basis. All of this is utilising technology for the benefit of trainees. So one of the things I mentioned was the dialogic assessment, which is impacted on by the video enhanced observation. As a team, we're doing an awful lot of research into this. All trainees have to submit a video at least twice in their teacher training, as well as the live lessons. And this helps the students to record their own progress. Technology is really utilised effectively. Okay. And a little piece of research that I've recently completed, one of the questions asked the trainees what they found to be the most important part of their programme. Who was the most important person? And one of the things that surprised us was it wasn't actually the person who was with them face to face in the classroom, their co-teacher or their mentor, it was actually their university lecturer. And the reasons they gave, so their PAT, the reasons they gave were that they could answer questions, they had the knowledge, they were the academics, and the impact on self-efficacy is really strong because their PAT is the person they rely on most. And I think that came as quite a surprise in the research that we completed, because we really thought that person who was with them face to face on a daily basis would be their most important person. However, it proved to be, you know, someone who was 3,000 miles away. But that's the skill of technology these days, that they feel that they're not actually at a distance. They're not distant from the university. They're in such close collaboration with university staff. There's just a few little quotes there that students have given in the research. My PAT was extremely reassuring in their interactions, to redirect my struggles. I couldn't have gotten through the course without the support of my wonderful PAT. My PAT played an important part. So I would encourage anyone who's looking at using distance learning as a way to increase revenues in their university to really think about the staff development of their university staff and the pastoral skills that go alongside the academic skills in order to make this a success. All right, so we'll just sum up here. Conclusions are technology has significant potential for expanding the range of learning opportunities to students, both for international teacher education, but also within schools, within every country, if we can utilize and harness technology, we can support schools. Each economy is going to struggle over the next few years to provide the resources available to schools to make up for the shortfall of learning. And now a good way that schools are learning to do this is through hybrid learning. We're able to offer face-to-face teaching, but also that online learning to close the gap, to make up for the significant loss that some students have suffered. So countries, including the UK, have supported the lower income students by providing technology, by providing laptops, but there's still a way to go across the world if we want parity across the world. But technology can provide that if we are able to get the technology out to students to make up for that shortfall. There are a variety of learning opportunities and personalisation techniques that we can offer to both school-age students and university-age students, if only we can get that technology to reach the students themselves. So I think, in summary, technology has been highlighted by the pandemic as a way to make up shortfalls. It's been highlighted by the pandemic as a way to ensure that the vast majority of students receive some learning, even in the most adverse circumstances. And also it's a way for schools and districts and universities to look at their budgets again and readjust what the focus of the economy should be going forward with regards to education. And it may be that we never go back to fully 100% in classroom learning in all destinations. In the UK, we're considering there may be another lockdown coming. We'll all be back online teaching again. Universities, my daughter's applying for university at the minute, and each university she applies to tells you how many lectures are live each week and how many are virtual. So these things need to be considered going forward. Okay, thank you. I think I've rushed that to make sure I fit in within the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But I want to remind all participants and attendees of this conference, if you want to ask directly to all speakers, we wait because we have a Q&A session. And if you want to ask by writing down your question, so please put on the chat virtually. Now we can move to the last speaker, Dr. Fabila Amin, PhD. He is head of Public Administration Department, Faculty of Administrative Science, University of Brawijaya. He graduated from Faculty of Administrative Science, University of Brawijaya, for his bachelor and master degree in public administration. And later, he finished his PhD in politics and public policy from Flinders University, Adelaide, Australia in 2014. He will be presenting with the title, Accelerating Socioeconomic Recovery from the Pandemic, Why is Agile Government Needed? So please welcome Dr. Fabila Amin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Honorable committee and speakers, and also distinguished participants in this conference, in this seminar. Thank you very much for the opportunity for me to present my my thought, my idea regarding the the way to accelerate the socio-economic recovery. And in this particular event, I will focus to adopt the one perspective, which is called agile governance, to accelerate the socio-economic recovery.
Well, let me share my material anyway. Okay, I hope you can see my material that I already shared on the screen. So I will start with some brief clarification, brief explanation regarding the condition of the infected people because of the coronavirus in Indonesia. So is in total, it is already recorded the big number of infected people. It's already more than 4 million and 200,000. But the good news is with the good treatment and good provision by the Indonesian government, the active cases already sharply decreased at the moment. So on the 6th November, which is 3 days ago, the active cases is already recorded only 10,000 something. It is optimally reduced from the around 100 million several days ago, maybe last. Well, so obviously it gives significant impacts on the socio-economic for Indonesia. So state revenue reduced, economic growth decreased, unemployment rates escalated, rates skyrocketed, economic recession, and so on and so forth. And then let me have a look in this figure anyway. So for example, in terms of consumption, in 2019, before pandemic hit this country and also countries around the globe, the consumption growth of consumption, it was recorded 5.3%, but it fell down to be 2.7. In the early stage of pandemic, when it hit this pandemic hit our Indonesia, and other sector, you know, it fell down dramatically fell down. Here, both at the consumption and business side. All right. So to anticipate this condition, Indonesian government has issued a lot of numerous policies to recover this very bad condition of macroeconomic from because of this pandemic. So in the early stage of this policy, Indonesian has prioritized some sectors to be allocated with national budget. So in here we can see keeping the quality of public health, social safety net, and also protecting our business is 3 sectors in macro level. So let's look here as well. In 2020, more than 677 trillion rupiah have been allocated for the to reduce the bad impact of pandemic. And also in 2021, which is this year, Indonesian government added the amount of national budget to combat this pandemic, which amounting around more than 744 trillion rupiah. So this was utilized for two macro sectors, which are health sector and economic recovery. We can see the figure in here. So for the national budget for 2021, with total allocation is 704 something trillion rupiah. It is distributed to 5 priority sectors, which is health, social protection, poverty program, enterprise and corporate, and also some incentive for business. And also, various policy already executed by Indonesian government, which is clustered become five sectors, 5 clusters. Which is first is policy for national levels, and then the second is policies for local governments. The third is policies for health sectors, and then the fourth is policy for business sector and micro, small, medium enterprises, and also policies for low-income society. Again, it funded by national budget amounting more than 700 trillion rupiah. Also, it is particular time. It's very in the difficult situation, something like this. The administrations already execute the policy called expansionary fiscal. Yeah. It is the distribution of allocation national budget that is allocated for social safety net. It is some scheme in here in it is I can see it's very costly, and then but Indonesia government has decided to his option to accelerate the socio-economic recovery. And then in here as well, have some kind of facilitation scheme, yeah, in terms of what is some relaxation tax, like this. Some tax have been waived, and then some tax their rate will have been reduced into 30. So it is very significant. So what can we note from the numerous policies that issued by Indonesian government? So in here, Indonesian government been bullet relation. One element of fiscal. Usually in the if it is not in the emergency situation, something like this, yeah, it is there are 2 options based on in theoretical perspective anyway. So usually the government will choose whether facilitating tax or spending government. However, in this take this two policy simultaneously. So obviously this is very costly. 744 trillion rupiah have been allocated for the economic recovery, national economic recovery for this year. It is around 30% of national budget. So it will be very risky if this kind of strategy is not successful, because we also heard from the Professor Fadil that he mentioned earlier that Indonesia has spent a lot of money due to this pandemic, and also the amount of national debt. We borrowed a lot of money. Again, our national debt is. However, unfortunately, again, fact shows that this kind of in my point of view, haven't been optimally effective. So let's have a quick fact in here as well. That is until this mid-year of this year, exchange rate of rupiah gradually weakened, which was approaching to the nearly 15,000 for $1 US, something like this. And also poverty rate increased to be 10.1%. It is data on March 2021. And then Gini ratio slightly increased as well. And then only at the point of at the level of 3.51%. It is actually targeted at 4.5 to 5.5% in 2021. Even though it is later has been revised. So the allocation of refocus for national economic recovery amounting 780 trillion rupiah only utilized 37% on 24th. It is in line with the explanation of Professor Fadil, which is because of some factors, the execution of this national economic recovery ran slow, very slow. Is on his note as well, the utilization of the provided fund only below 50%. So that's why maybe I can in here identify some kind of crucial factors that cause this problem. In Indonesia, you know that Indonesia is one of rule-driven governance. It is everything have to refer to the guideline issued by central government, and then have to be by lower level regulation, and so on and so forth. So for the local government, usually they have to with policy by central government, and then if it is settled as it is official at the local government level, just can execute after it has been decided by. So that's why hierarchical decision-making process. Also focus on command and control conducted by central level government bodies. And also due to the policy of institutional performance leads to the sector. That's why it is the reason why to accelerate socio-economic recovery. Obviously, in my point of view, Indonesia urgently need agile government. So agile government in here is mission-centric, is customer-focused, communication, and continually provide value to customers and the public. So in this context, agile government involves public and customer participation with small teams that are empowered by leaders to take rapid action to deliver timely, transparent, and result. So there are 10 principles of agile government in here. First is mission. Second is metric of for success. The next is customer-driven behavior. The fourth is external network. Fifth is speed. And then the sixth is cross-functional teams. The seventh is innovation, 8%. Number 9 is informed solution. And then the last one, number 10 is organizational leaders. So we need agile government, particularly in this particular situation, which is a lot of countries, including Indonesia, are suffering from the pandemic. So obviously, to respond to this kind of pandemic, we need to timely, fast, and effective response. Yeah. However, it is usually hampered by the traditional process of that employ bureaucratic hierarchy, as I mentioned earlier. Everything has, for example, local government officials have to wait for a policy issued by central government to be able the local government apparatus can execute it. And then also in here again, implementation of the principle of agile government leads to the faster, more flexible, and higher quality government. Therefore, in here, we can conclude in here, end up in the policy recommendation that I propose. There is Indonesia has some extent implemented this principle of agile government. However, on the other hand, it still needs enhancement to adopt those principle comprehensively, because in some extent some principle have still totally absent yet. So in this context, it is strongly recommended to issue a special constitution regarding extraordinary emergency situation, which is called in bahasa Indonesia, we can say like undang-undang keadaan darurat or something like this, which authorize official to execute policies and program without waiting for guidelines circulated by central level authority. So that I mentioned earlier, it is we already allocated 780 trillion rupiah. However, again, until 24 August, the utilization of this big fund is only 37%. It is because a lot of local government authorities still wait for the guideline or also the technical guidance from the central government, because they are afraid. Yeah, they are afraid. It's like they are worried if they execute without any legal guidance issued by central government, it will be like infringements of the regulations. It will be have the like the corruption accusing something like this. So that's why they have take the safe way by waiting for policy issued by central government. So I propose in here by issuing the special law regarding extraordinary emergency situation. If the extraordinary or emergency situation happen, so President and also the government of Indonesia can decide that if we already in the extraordinary emergency situation, so all officials can execute policies based on their discretion without waiting for prolonged process by issuing or circulating the technical guidelines circulated by central government. So I think that's all my presentation. Hopefully we have some rest of time to discuss our my presentation. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Fabila Amin, for giving your insight and knowledge about the presentation of the theme of conference. Now, I would like to invite all participants, if you want to ask directly to all speakers, you can hit the raise hand button, or maybe you can write in chat virtually. Rizky, okay. Rizky Putra, I invite Rizky Putra to ask to all speakers. Hello, Rizky. You can address to presenters or to all presenters, the particular presenter or all presenters. Okay then. Okay, so now maybe even as a moderator, I can ask you to all speakers. Is it okay to committee? Okay, thank you then. So for all speakers, what do you think about what should the government respond to the pandemic, the COVID outbreaks pandemic? From area of services like health, education, or social services. What do you think about that? As I do understand from Dr. Rose, she talked about from the education perspective. So could you please give some insight a little bit more about that? And this is also addressed to all speakers, Dr. Ahmad and Dr. Fabila Amin. Thank you.
If you'd like some input from me, I believe that governments need to see this as an opportunity for growth and an opportunity to support the future of education. We've learned so many lessons of what where the gaps are, where we haven't invested. And this is an opportunity for governments to look at education as a vehicle for future economies. If we invest in teacher education, we invest in university staff training, then we can have an impact on school-age children who eventually will have the skills that future economies require. So I think it's a cycle of development, and if all governments can find the money to invest at the minute, it will allay some of the potential impact that the pandemic will have on future economies.
Yeah. And I do understand also, probably in your country, like UK or Australia or many countries in the world, including in Indonesia and Malaysia, there is still debating about how put children back to school. What should a government should protect the children from the outbreak, because the virus, the COVID virus, still spreading currently. So what do you think about what should government? Is there how to put children back to school, or just keep them studying in home?
Oh, I think that's a hard one. That's for the medical profession. But I genuinely think that children benefit from interaction with other children. And I think returning to school is really good for them. Both of my children returned to school and both of them ended up with COVID. But now they have that immunity that comes with having had it once, and they're both really keen to continue going to school. So I think each country needs to look at this in what the impact is on each individual country. You know, the likes of Vietnam, where they're not sending kids to school, they're not sending students to school. They've decided that's the best for their country. And in the UK at the minute, all schools are open, but depending on how high the rate goes, it could be that we close again in the future, which again has an impact on the economy because parents have to stay home to look after those children. So I have no answers what the best way to do this is, and I think each country needs to look at it for the merits for their country.
Okay, so for Dr. Ahmad and Dr. Fabila Amin, so what do you think about how government should respond under the COVID outbreak? Because we do understand that many governments still struggling to recover from this situation, and we have to encourage not only government but also people to adapt with the situation unexpectedly. So what do you think about that? Thank you. Professor Ahmad Marda, maybe?
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think now government all over the world has done a lot of things to ease the burden of people and ease the suffering of people. And now a lot of countries have gone into a normal stage where things are getting back to normal. So it means that people have started to realize that for them to move forward, they have to get adjusted to the new way of doing things, to the new norms. You know, for example, wearing masks, physical distancing, making sure that they are always protected, not being in the crowd, and government has also restricted events that include a lot more people in a closed area. So things are not back to normal, and a lot more things that need to be done is based on the new norms. So a lot more people have got to adjust to the new way of doing things. And in the meantime, government has also done a lot of things to ease the pain. For example, in Malaysia, government has allocated monetary incentive to ease the burden of people, providing
financial assistance to, in the recently launched next year's budget, the Prime Minister has stated that government will provide monetary assistance to people who lose their job, to small, medium enterprises, to families with low income, B40 groups. So these are the groups that will be targeted in terms of providing monetary incentive to them. And at the same time, government has also asked the private sector to play a more active role in making sure that private investment will be more active and aggressive, because foreign investment is not very high at the moment, especially when they see that the situation is not yet safe and stable for them to come and invest in the country. So cooperation between government and private sector is at the highest level at the moment. And at the same time, businesses are also getting back to normal. So I foresee that probably by mid next year, things will get back to normal. And a lot more businesses will open, a lot more business activities will continue to be done, and a lot more people will continue to get back to work, because now even in Malaysia currently, we are at the stage of opening up schools for everybody. So by early next year, students, school children will get back to school. Universities will open classes regularly, not online learning anymore. So I'm sure things will get back to normal. But the most important thing is people have to respect the new way of doing things. They have to be safe. They have to continue to be safe. They have to continue to be protected, from unforeseen elements. For example, the new variant in COVID-19, Delta variant, is becoming an issue including England and other parts of the world. So people have to get adjusted to that. People have to get accustomed to that. And in Malaysia, older people will continue to get booster shot, the third shot. So all in all, I'm sure government is doing a lot of things to make sure that well-being and safety of people will be at the top of the agenda, and at the same time making sure that people continue to do things, people continue to get back to work, school children will continue to go to school, economic activity can be generated, and hopefully things will get back to normal, but with a new way of doing things.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ahmad Marda. Now, Dr. Fabila Amin, please.
Okay, thank you. I totally agree with what explained by Professor Murtada, and I just give some additional idea. The first, health, overcoming health issues have to be a priority. Because and this thing, if health is still
Hello. Hello, Dr. Fabila Amin. It's a little bit disruption about the site now. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, yeah. It's a little bit disruption.
Because with my internet connection, I'm really sorry about that. Okay.
It's okay.
Let me continue my explanation. So first is overcoming the health issues. It have to be a priority. So in this case, Indonesia apparently has already successful to reduce significantly the number of infected people, which is yesterday, I think it is recorded the lowest number during maybe 16 months or something. Yesterday we recorded 200 new infected people. And then the number of recovered people recorded more than 1,100 something. So it is good news actually. And then in terms of economic recovery, as I mentioned earlier, that is, I also appreciate with Indonesian government and also the Parliament of Government who already agreed with the proposal submitted by executive branches to put the allocation, a big allocation of national budget to accelerate national economic recovery. However, again, in fact, the utilization of this provided fund run very slow. Again, last year we, as Professor Fadil Muhammad already said, that already recorded less than 50%, and then also this year also I think the trend is more or less same. So that's why I just recommend what should government do is make kind of a breakthrough to quicken this kind of process, because again with the system of hierarchy, with apply hierarchy process of policy process, something like this, until in the execution stage, it has to be prolonged process. Have to be done to the preparation until in the execution state. So that's why it has to be like brave to cut some kind of procedure, and then that's why I propose some kind of idea to issue kind of special law, special constitution in this kind of emergency situation. It have to be authorized for the authorized people to take some to implement some kind of policy without waiting for guidelines that should be circulated by central authorities. So that's why it is fast, timely, fast response, and also efficient in time. It is become strategic issues in this context. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so is there any question from our audience? I will ask again. No. Okay. So before I disclose this session, I would like to invite all speakers for giving conclusion statement just in 1 minute. So I can start from Dr. Rose, please. 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. I see the pandemic as something that the global community is dealing with, and we can all learn from each other, and there is potentially an awful lot of progress that's been made within education, as long as we support each other. So the more developed side of the world can support the side of the world that is struggling for vaccines, you know, high proportions in the UK, hence we're able to open schools again. And there are some countries that need that support, and we need to share and see ourselves as part of a global community.
Yeah, thank you. Professor Ahmad Marja?
Yeah, I think I concur with the statement by Dr. Diane that every country, have to get access to all the vaccination, because poor countries are the one that tend to suffer the most due to this pandemic. And we have seen, not only in Malaysia, even though we don't call ourselves as poor country, but we also part of developing countries. But, because of this pandemic, a lot more people have been hit hard, and more people have committed suicide. A lot more people have complained, about losing income, and they have to pay the mortgage, the loan, the house, car. So a lot more people are suffering because of the pandemic, and more need to be done. And I'm sure poor countries, because of the lack of resources, they have to struggle a lot in order to get back to normal. And this requires cooperation and support from the rich country. I'm sure UK has also done a lot of things to support some of the poor countries, but I think the rich country need to do more in order to help ease the burden of the poor countries. I'm sure Indonesia, Malaysia, a lot more poor countries in African countries, in Latin American countries, they have gone through a stage where sometimes, it is beyond their own means to find revenues to make sure that they can help financially in terms of easing the burden of the country. So I believe that it is very timely, that this conference is being held to look into ways in which government and private sector can get together, because ultimately the well-being of the people should be at the top of the agenda from every government.
Yeah, I agree. There is still lots thing to be done, particularly to the people with vaccine doubts. Okay, so Dr. Fabila Amin.
Okay, thank you. So applying rule-driven governance system, in my point of view, is some extent good, because it ensure everything can be done, can be executed ideally. Everything, program and activities of belong to government can be executed tidily. However, on the other hand, in this governance system apparently have to be rethinking. Rethinking is needed in here, because in the pandemic situation, something that is need fast response, timely, and so on. This kind of governance system apparently is not really suitable for this kind of situation, because step-by-step process that should be in the normal situation. If we follow this kind of procedure, it will be very slow process. So like anticipation and also recovery from this kind of pandemic can be done smoothly if we stick to the guidelines. So that's why we from this pandemic we have to rethink about the alternative of governance system. Maybe rule-driven governance system is good. We can take some good side of this system. However, we have to improve this kind of system, which is in this kind of unexpected situation in the pandemic situation, something like this. We can also respond this kind of pandemic, and also we can recover from this pandemic very fast.
Okay. So thank you. So thank you for giving conclusion statement from Dr. Rose, Dr. Martada, and Dr. Fabila Amin. I can conclude now that lots of knowledge, responses, and policy have been concerned too regarding how to recover from the pandemic COVID-19 outbreaks. That has been done and will be done by government, university, and society from academia on the first day conference today. So with all enlightened presentation from all speakers today, we hope we can obtain knowledge from different perspectives. So thank you for your participation for this session. And I will end this with Alhamdulillah. I hand over back to Miss Rara as MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we have come to the end of our first day session of the fourth AICoBPA. Thank you for all our keynote speakers, presenters, moderator, and of course, our audiences for participating this event. And thank you again, Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs of Universitas Brawijaya, Dean of Faculty of Administrative Science of Universitas Brawijaya, our committees, and our partners for willing to allocate their time for AICoBPA. Hopefully, we can increase our knowledge and get a good benefit from this activity. See you again tomorrow. I am Maria Wian signing out. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Murtada.
Ya, sama-sama.
This good presentation.
Thank you. Hope everyone can benefit from that. So I will leave the webinar now, Pak.
I'm not sure. I will ask the committee first.
Oh.
I think so. Okay.
Because my session is over already, right?
Yeah, I think so. Salam ke teman-teman Pak Dr. Zubir. Pak.
Ya, insyaAllah.
Yeah,
sampaikan salam kepada Pak Dekan juga.
Sure, I will. Yeah. Ya, semoga ini pandemic will over soon, so I can physically visit to UM.
Yeah, and me too. Been a long time since I visited Brawijaya.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Beautiful place to visit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pak, tetap sehat-sehat, Pak.
Ya, moga sehat semua juga ya. Moga sukses conference-nya.
Insyaallah.
Okay. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.